camera's rolling. Ta-da!
Robert, what's your idea for today?
Yes. I think we should set the record for the world's longest helmet hot dog throw. Don't you miss this? Hot dog helmet hot dog. Hot dog helmet throw.
Hot dog helmet.
Helmet hot dog throw.
Which is it?
I don't know. The
Tell
game
us, vote.
Which
Tell
one it
us
is.
which one it is. Is it hot
Yeah.
dog helmet or helmet hot dog?
Yeah. Anyway, I'll be the thrower. We only have one helmet, so there was only one.
Is it because this is pink and I'm a green?
Yep. Yeah? Okay. But we need to work our way up to set the record. And so I think we need to start with some smaller throws, work our way up. That looks really uncomfortable. And then we'll set the record. You ready? Okay. All right.
Okay.
These hot dogs are pretty expired. So, don't eat it. Here we go. Ready? Yeah. Let's go! First try. Oh yeah! Here we go. Hey, that was good. I think we gotta go farther there.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the storage.
I'm gonna go over there.
Where's over there?
The office.
The office?
Yeah. You got this.
I gotta warm up the arm,
got
but I think I
this.
can make it. Alright,
Okay.
let's do this.
Okay.
Premiumbeat.com.
You ready?
Premiumbeat.com.
Okay.
Premiumbeat.com. Premiumbeat.com.
Okay.
Premiumbeat.com.
Gas, thanks.
Premiumbeat.com.
Hey, you ready? Yeah, totally. Alright.
Premiumbeat.com. Premiumbeat.com.
Woo! Did you catch it? You caught it? Let's go! Woo! 6 feet. Woo! That was a run. World's longest hot dog helmet throw.
We did it!
We did it!
Woo!
Not without your guys' help. Hey, we're so excited for our midweek programs. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. All right. right, what's up, guys? Hey, welcome to Riot. We are still in our What is Church series, but we have a special guest with us today. Michael, welcome back.
What's up?
Dude, this is so good.
I know.
It's so good to see you again. And we're together doing high school ministry,
Like the good old days.
the good old days, the good times. Dude, what's going on? What's new?
There's this thing happening called the coronavirus. That's what's happening.
Ooh.
It's not funny. I don't mean to laugh. But life's kind of strange for everybody right now.
Yeah.
And, we had our third kid, Scout. He's pretty great. About 3 months ago, I think. So we're stuck at home with 3 kids, going a little bit crazy, but we're doing all right.
Nice.
Trying to make sure our kids get lots of time out in the backyard.
There you go. It's been so great.
I know.
The weather-wise really helps.
Heck yeah.
Thinking back, you had these years of high school ministry and made so many memories. And for those that are watching this, what is one of the funniest memories you have of games or high energy fun stuff in high school ministry?
I don't know if it's the funniest. I probably have to think about it longer, but the one that pops into my mind the most was when there was a mutiny about the camp theme song a couple years ago at Great Escape. And every time we played the one you chose, by the way, I got thrown under the bus for that, but it was totally Robert that wanted that song.
100% my choice.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's a great song. Let's do it. But they mutinied and wanted Africa to be the song, which is also a great song. Perhaps a better
great
camp
song.
song.
Yeah, arguably.
But when they wanted to make it official, and then I had a couple dudes come up on the stage and do 100 push-ups or something in 5 minutes, and none of them did. maybe one did. And
you were so gracious with them.
Yeah, and then we switched it. That was just pretty fun.
Yeah. People still talk about that when we changed the camp song.
Yeah.
And then Africa's kind of been a thing ever since.
It's a great song.
Great song.
It was a thing in the 80s, but
It was? Yeah.
The song.
When the song came out.
yeah.
Nice. So what's one thing, I guess, that the Lord has been teaching you in this season? Stuff going on.
Yeah. God has been teaching me something for the last year or more probably, but especially right now, and that is just to slow down.
Nice.
It's really dangerous when our doing things for Jesus outweighs our being with him. It's dangerous for me, and it's hard for pastors, but it happens to everyone. And so our doing things for Jesus looks like ministry, writing, teaching, and sermons. Right now it's editing podcasts and videos, planning events and things like that. But for others, their doing for Jesus could look like listening to a podcast or watching a live stream or reading Christian books or going on missions trips at some point, whenever those are a thing again. All of those are great things that we should do. But sometimes, or I think those things should come out of a life that is deeply rooted in a relationship with Jesus, or what John calls, in the Gospel of John calls abiding.
Yeah.
So grape branches are literally connected to the main vine, and they have the life of the vine flowing through them. And this is what produces the fruit or the doing. And so that's kind of what I guess I'll say what I really want to keep learning is how to abide. And so far, the only way I know how to do that is to slow down, stop doing, and just sit in God's presence.
There's so little time to practice that unless you make it. We just live such busy, hurried lives that unless you make the time, you won't find it to just sit and be and abide, you're saying, to really let what you do be the outflow of your relationship.
And sometimes it's not fun because it's easy to shut off the pain, discomfort, anxiety, and just do. It's sometimes that's how we medicate, is just by doing things rather than thinking about how is my soul and how am I doing. And so
that's
you try sitting down, you're like, I don't like this, and then you just don't do it anymore. And so
that's real for sure. Well, we, as you guys know, have been doing this series on church, and we've talked about what the church is, and we've talked about analogies that the Scripture uses for the church. We've talked about how it's a people and not a place, and how it's a body. And I know that you have this deep love for the church, and obviously a sense of responsibility to it as a pastor. And so I wanted to talk to you about some of your thoughts on church. And this is a fun way to kind of mix up what we're doing it right and hear from somebody who is, both experienced, but also just a friendly, familiar face. So we're talking about the church. We've talked about, like I said before, what is it, but now we want to change, kind of make a corner and talk about what is it for? What is the intention of the church? What should we be about? And so, let's start there. What is the church for? What would its intention be?
Yeah, great question. And I have listened to your other episodes on what is the church, and they were awesome. So well done. So there are probably a number of different kind of emphases. Is that the plural? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Multiple emphases on what the church could be for. And the first one that we'll talk about is the most kind of abstract Christianese one, but I'd like to start there and see if we can make it less abstract, a little bit more concrete. And that is to give God glory. So that is, without a doubt, the most popular phrase in Christianity that really, we'd have a hard time kind of explaining in concrete terms, what does that mean to give God glory?
Yeah, it's kind of lost its meaning.
Yeah.
Both from time and translation and all those things.
Yeah. And if you try to explain that to someone who doesn't go to church, just try it sometime. What is that? It's weird. It's a hard concept to explain, but it's used so much in the Bible in general, and also about the purpose of God's people.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing I'd love to talk about, is what it means to give God glory. So we'll look first at a passage in Ephesians chapter 1, verse 11.
Okay.
So Paul uses really long sentences. If you've ever read the Bible and the New Testament, you know this. So we're going to read 11 through 14, just one paragraph, and then we'll come back and kind of talk about a few things. 1:11. In him we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will, in order that we, who were the first to put our hope in Christ, might be for the praise of his glory. We'll stop there. So I think what he does, at least the way we translate it into English, is that we use these, some could call them comma splices or run-on sentences.
Sure.
Extended prepositional phrases, if you want to nerd out on the grammar, perhaps. I don't even know if that's what it is. But basically, in our English right here, if we cut out the modifying clauses in his sentence, which we're not trying to remove them from the Bible, but
the words that define the thing that you just said.
Yes. So he says, in him we were also chosen, and then the next clause describes how, or in what manner, and it's having been predestined according to the plan of him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will. So the manner that we were chosen was beforehand, long time ago. Cool. In him, so if we cut out that clause right there, just for the sake of understanding what point is he trying to make, it would read, in him we were also chosen, in order that, that's in verse 12, we just skipped that little mini clause, in him we were also chosen, in order that, and then we'll skip the next clause, which identifies us more. It's we who are the first to put our hope in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
In him we were chosen in order that we might be for the praise of his glory. So not cutting out those clauses because they don't matter. They're huge, and they make Paul's writing very rich. That's why everyone loves to read Ephesians. That's what our go-to chapter when we just want to read the Bible, because it sounds great.
Yes.
But if we're trying to understand what point is he trying to make in this very long sentence, he's saying God's people, the church, chosen to be in God's family so that we might praise his glory.
Booyah.
Booyah, exactly. That's in the Greek. It's booyah. It's in there. Trust me.
But it does seem a little bit abstract.
Yes, as still unexplained. What does that mean? Hey, praise his glory. We sing lyrics like that all the time, and I think sometimes we even probably properly feel what that means before we kind of understand what it means when we're singing. And so I don't mean to make people and myself feel bad if you're not always understanding what glory means when you sing it. So don't feel bad. So the idea of glory, there's a couple different ways to kind of think about what the word means. Typically, I think in our Christian context, we think about it as divineness, like God is glorified or glorious. He's like big and majestic and all powerful and all knowing, and or maybe just that he's good and amazing.
Yeah.
Which are all true. There's another aspect to the concept of glory, and there's a word in Hebrew, which is kavod, or in Greek, it's doxa.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is kind of that God has weight or honor.
Yeah.
So honor would be one way to kind of describe that word, and perhaps it's one aspect of what glory means. And it's really hard because the concept of honor we don't really talk about a lot today. I think maybe one of the modern ways we use it is referring to a judge as your honor.
Sure.
And that mostly kind of has the context of like, or the connotation of being respectful. Like they are the one in charge of the courtroom, and they're going to make verdicts and decisions and whatnot. And so we are respectful and we honor them. But there's other people in our life that kind of carry weight. Honestly, I think, Robert, for a lot of people watching, you might have some type of glory. And I know you don't want to think about that. And they would never use that word.
Yeah.
But honor, like they respect you, and they respect when you're around, it matters to them. When you say things, it matters to them. And if perhaps you didn't say some things, they would feel the absence of your kind of pastoral voice in their life. I'm not trying to toot your own horn, but that's like your role, the position you have as a pastor to these people. I also think about perhaps some teachers. I know that teachers sometimes students, your teachers don't hate you. If I had a nickel for every time I heard a student say, that teacher hates me, they don't hate you. Anyways, but there are some teachers at schools that are just like renowned and just like such great teachers. True. Students love them, and they talk about it like, oh, did you take such and such class with such and such teacher? I don't know what teacher that would be at Sprague. I can think of teachers that were there when I was there that had that reputation, but it's more than just they're a cool teacher or that class was fun.
It's more than just being fun and outgoing. There's something different than that. Yeah.
It's the combo of like students recognize that teacher is really smart. They're older, more than likely they're older. They've been doing this a long time. You're not their first class of students. And so you kind of give them, hopefully, a certain amount of respect and honor and trust. Like, they know more than me. They've taught students before I was here. They will teach students after I'm gone. Yeah. And you kind of give a lot of weight to their words or their thoughts or their teaching or information that they're giving you. So that'd be kind of one aspect of the idea of glory that I think would be really helpful for us to think about when it comes to what's the church's job, is to bring God honor or glory. And so, yes, that is worshiping God and telling him, God, you're amazing and majestic, which means you're like a king. You're kingly, royal. Yes. You can do anything. You're all powerful, able to do anything. Those are very true things, and those should be kind of swirling around in our mind when we're thinking about what it means to glorify God. But I think the way we miss the most, perhaps, is the idea of bringing God honor and giving his thoughts and his way for our life the most weight. Sacred is kind of maybe another aspect of that too.
Yeah, I think when I've talked about glory, these guys in the past, I've used that concept of weight to talk about the difference between like a very well-made table versus like an IKEA table. Yeah. And you like pick up that little $2 IKEA side table.
$7, Robert, come on.
$7 IKEA side table that we break like 3 of a month. And it's like 2 pounds. You know, you like pick it up and it's so light. And then you pick up a table. Like there's one in the South Auditorium right now that was in Pastor John's office, and it took 2 people just to carry like the top part. It's just really heavy, but you think like that table is worth a lot more than that IKEA table just based on weight, because it carries like a value to it. Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, that's good. Kind of think about it one other way when you think about honor or weight is different people in your life that carry, we use the phrase, what they think carries more weight with you. So there are some people in your life and in my life where, let's say you needed to change something about your life. And one of the high school students says, hey, Robert, I don't think you should do this anymore. You'd be like, great. I don't care what you think, so that's fine. I mean, you care a little bit,
I
but
care a little
depending
bit.
on what the issue was.
Yes.
But
most
like,
likely, I'd
yeah.
be like, okay.
The amount of weight that people's thoughts about you differs.
Yeah.
And so think about whoever person in your life
Yeah.
carries the most weight. And if they said,
Mm.
dude, you got to change, like this part of you is not all right.
Yeah.
Some people you'd be like, screw that. I don't care really what you think. I don't trust your assessment of me.
Yes.
Or some people it's like, oh no, I can't believe I
Yeah.
let them down. So the idea is that what God thinks, the idea for him to have glory means that who he is,
Mm.
how he is, what he does, what he doesn't do, what he thinks about us as individuals or as the church. Our goal as the church, kind of what we hope will happen, is that all that we do would show the world that we think God carries the most weight in every aspect.
Mm.
He deserves the most honor, respect, worship, because he is able to do everything, and he is majestic and glorious and beautiful, but also like he's wise and smart and knows everything. He knows us. And so that's kind of one of the main nuances that I kind of wanted to talk about when it comes to giving God glory. Yes, that means sing and worship,
Yeah.
but it also means that the collective life of the church would show the world like, wow, they really respect God
Mm.
and honor him.